Excellent. Well, welcome everybody. I am Tracy Dewar here, and I am super excited to be sharing with everybody here tonight with my very special guest, Jeanette Anderson. We are on a fabulous topic called Low Tox Living, and it is definitely a topic that is close and dear to my heart because I am a warrior, immune system, wellness warrior, and just ready to rock and roll and do everything I possibly can to defend myself, those around me, and everybody else that's willing to listen to me. And the whole topic on low tox living is definitely one, because if you don't, we know it's going to affect our immune system. And right now, the biggest pandemic going on is fighting toxic chemicals. It is a chemical warfare out there, especially in the last 100 years. When our industries started to experiment and start taking over the way we grow our foods, the way they bring out products for internally, externally, and all around us, thinking that we're making a better world. But in fact, we are actually making it worse. We're making it sick. We're making Mother Earth sick. We're making ourselves sick. We're sicker than ever before. So I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty pumped up about this topic. Guys, give me a big thumbs up if you're feeling pumped up about this as well. Woohoo! Okay. So before I get started, I just wanted to just share personally myself. This is the first of the series called our Youngevity Checkups. And I couldn't think of a better topic to start off with being our low tox living, how I wanted to see Youngevity checkups moving forward. As we all know, we usually go to a doctor for a checkup. And lo and behold, have we not realized over the years that most of those doctors aren't doing the best service for us based on really what we do need. Hand on heart, I'm sure they think they're doing the best thing possible, but we know most people are going there because they are fatigued, are in pain, struggling with sleep, anxiety, all those number one issues people actually go to the doctor for. All happens to usually be with mineral deficiency, vitamins, and probably the toxins that are in their environment. So I thought Youngevity checkup would be a great checkup from the neck up, coming together as a community, a group of people who are warriors. And I know everybody on this call, I personally know, and I know you guys are warrior doing your personal best. So I thought this is the start. And we got a great lineup coming up with the Youngevity checkup. We got Health for Kids with Kylie Pearson and our mystery crew to back her up. We got the effects of alcohol with Marianne Oakes, as well as another warrior on our immune system, starting with wood ash to wine, and all the good foods for Grant coming up. So that's what we got for our lineup coming up, but we already got our lineup in works for September. And so stay tuned for that lineup as well. But our goal is to educate and empower all of you to take control over your lives as you totally focus on building your immune system with the mission and message of Dr. Joel Wallach. And so we're all super proud to be his army and his crew here. And I couldn't think of somebody better to start this series off with our very own 2-star executive. She is our brand ambassador for Nature Direct in Low Tox Living. She is an alumni of the Alex Stewart Low Tox Living Academy, which she is going to share with us a little bit more details on that. And as well as she has been in the 300 Club every month for the last 2 years that it has been in the work. So she is a true warrior. We're super proud of her. She averages about 40 new customers. So that's about 10 new customers a week to her business, on the mission of how she can help people live 100% better. So I am, without further ado, super excited. Jeanette, thank you for joining us, and welcome to our series of Youngevity Checkup. Woo!
Thank you. I'm excited. This is a great opportunity, and I think it's a topic that perhaps is disregarded by many.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Well, thank you for joining and saying yes. And so first of all, before we get started, can you share with everybody what is an alumni of the Alex Stewart Low Tox Living?
Okay. Well, Alex Stewart developed a program called Low Tox Living, and it was really the realistic approach to chemicals and to living in our world. It's impossible to live no tox. unless you just physically can't do it. So I really wanted to hit that medium ground where we could really understand the impact of what it's like to have people have chemicals in your life, and to try and make better choices around them. I guess the other thing that really struck me with the Alex Stewart Academy was the intensity of it. She covers every single area. And I know there's some men on this page, but that's okay. Everything from low tox living in the bedroom, low tox living in the kitchen, the garden, with your children. It's a fantastic program I did. It was a year-long program, and quite intensive, and it was well worth the while because it really taught me much about reading labels, and really built on my, if you like, my experience with Dr. Eric Venturelli and the biochemists and scientists that we have in France who are the developers of the Nature Direct range. So it just expanded my knowledge. So I was really grateful to be part of it.
Excellent. And so how long ago when you first created or co-created Nature Direct? How long ago has that been now, Jeanette?
14 years in October.
And when were you originally inspired to, take health in your hands and make it a better world for all of us?
Okay. I guess I've always been a bit of a hippie. Yes, that's still a term. And my mother was always a really cook from scratch. I guess perhaps because she was was born in 1914. So, in that age group where everybody very frugal with what she did, cooked from scratch all the time, lived a very modest life in Sunshine, which is considered to be, at the time, a fairly low socioeconomic area. But, it was part of my life, and I got to choose things wisely for many things. Have I made terrible choices? Absolutely. But everyone's a learning experience as well. So I really hope that I can share this information, because I cannot tell you how valuable it is to really understand what you are using every single day in your home, and the impact it will have on your life and your children for the future, and for those of you who've got girls on this call, for their health, their fertility, and boys as well. It's really important that we understand the impact, the long-term impact of chemicals and what they could do. And they're minute, but they can certainly impact us for the rest of our lives.
So give us some examples of the negative impacts that it would have on our lives personally. If you could give us some examples.
Okay, well, I'm going to give something away, but one of the things that really changed my opinion of it as well, and really gave me a lot more knowledge, was Eric Venturelli, who's our scientist, Dr. Eric Venturelli. He uses a system called a coding through EWG, Environmental Working Group.org, which is an international body, and they classify every chemical based on what they call their CAS number, which is like a chemical assessment number. Because as I described to you yesterday and today, everything is a chemical, everything. BTT is a chemical. A lemon is a chemical. Water is a chemical.
Is that why we took chemistry in school?
Absolutely. So all those things really made a difference, because they are all chemicals, but it's what you choose to do with them. And what the EWG do is code them. So water has a code 2, for example. Something like bleach, which is that one, I'm sure all of you are familiar with that type of bottle, that has an EWG warning of 10. That's 0 to 10. So every single chemical is assessed by this organisation, and Nature Direct choose to use this coding internationally. So we're very happy with that. So that's really giving me some insight into what the chemical impact is, and how they can really affect future generations in particular.
So what would be some of the things that you're incredibly vigilant on in your life, in your personal and professional? What are you absolutely vigilant on?
Well, it's really changed over the years, because I guess the laws have changed. So to give you an idea, when we first started Nature Direct, we did a survey, and it was a long time ago now, so truly. And it was part of a marketing group out of Sydney. And what they did is they assessed people's buying habits at the supermarket shelves. And this is where it really establishes why we're like we are now, and why we become products of our parents, which is really what it's about. So they interviewed 1,000 people, surveyed 1,000 people, who basically said, it was like a huge percentage, like over 80%, said they would certainly choose an eco-friendly product when they were looking for something to clean their home. However, On the flip side of that is that when they hit their checkout, only 15% actually did it. 15%. So habits are hard to break. They really are. So for me, it was really about teaching people and really having some kind of opportunity to talk to people. I guess one of the reasons why Nature has become such a big company. In fact, I know that Dave Brisky and Steve Wallach, both as part of the acquisition program that Youngevity have, is that we were the biggest acquisition they had at the time, and certainly the most problematic because it was a big company. So it really, our presentation style, which is a show and go, we would basically show people and get them to look at labels and start to question what they're using. So it was very powerful, and it's still a very powerful model. It's become less of a people are more educated now around food labels. You would never ever feed anything to a baby, for example, without knowing what's in it, and that's really only come about in the last 10 years. You know, those with young children would know to avoid the 6s and the 2s for preservatives and all kinds of other chemicals. But back 35 years ago, when I had my children, it really wasn't a thing. And sugar, well, you know, my kids were drinking Ribena. So God forbid. So things like that. So I guess that's probably the thing that really set the stone of where I sit in this whole thing. But the one thing I really look for now is plastics. I try to avoid plastics as much as I can. You have to be realistic. I've had people in the alumni group basically don't want to use their Thermomix because there's plastic in it. I mean, seriously, that's just bizarre, really. And the other thing, of course, is what they call VOCs, and they're probably the ones I really now understand a lot more than what I did at the time, and really understand the impact of the impact that we have in our lives. VOCs, volatile organic compounds. I'm going to be sharing something about those tonight as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, what I wanted to share with everybody is we've created this because we are wanting you guys to be an army and take this wealth of information forward. And, you know, Jeanette's an expert. She's clearly been, you know, riding this mission for quite some time. So we've created a plan, a PowerPoint for you guys. So this is duplicatable. We want you guys to be able to A, share the video, B, take this PowerPoint and do your own Low Tox Living event. And so we tried to make this as duplicatable, whether you're a distributor or guest on this call, but you feel that you want to get this message out there, we highly have set this up for you. As you see, we created an event in our Facebook group, an event that's very duplicatable. So if you want to create your own event, you can do that using the squares that we got. And as you see in the event, as I did a lead up with things about toxic ingredients and toxic chemicals and things like that as a lead up. And I will highly encourage you guys after this call, if there's some information that you feel is of value that has changed your life, to go and share it in that event. That event will stay on the Facebook group, so you can duplicate it and go and use it. And maybe once a month or once a year, you're going to do your own personal Low Tox Living, or even in your own home, have an event of yourself, so you can share these fantastic products that we have that are low tox products that you can share, create an event and duplicate it. So that's where we're at. What I wanted to share is, over my lifetime, much like Jeanette's, we thought we were doing the right thing, and we hear things along the way that change our life forever. And a couple of things that have changed my life forever. Number one is when I found out my skin was our largest organ that we have, and everything that we put on our skin within, I believe, like 3 seconds or 6 seconds, something like that, it already absorbs into our bloodstream. So when I first heard that, again, these are seeds, and then it gets you thinking. And so I already started making changes of the products that I use. So believe it or not, my first product I ever purchased from Youngevity, before I was even a young in the company, was from Louise, and it was the mineral makeup. So I was already conscious of that. Just slowly working through it, but just doing this project with Jeanette again, re-educating again, I just discover there's still things that I'm using that I can still make changes. So we are a work in progress. We are completely making changes all the time. So I encourage you, and I hope this makes some changes for you. So, and hence why, as you all know, those of you that know me, I've been a brunette my entire life, 50 years of my life. As you can see, I'm no longer a brunette. It was the hardest decision I ever made, but it did come down to having to color my hair every 3 weeks. Yes, I used low ingredients and as much non-toxic ingredient as I could, but the bottom line is I was still absorbing chemicals in myself. So I had to make that decision, and it came down to my ego in that sense. So that's one. The other one is the story I want to share with you guys. For those of you, have you guys ever heard the story about the frog in boiling water? This story was probably told to me about 20 years ago, but it sits in me all the time when I think of things on the decisions that I make or when I talk to people. The frog in boiling water story is about, let's take an idea of this frog, and you had a boiling water on the stove. If you were to actually throw a frog in that boiling water, its immediate action is to jump and get out of that environment. That is that part of that story. The second part of it is you've actually put a frog in water on the kettle, on the stove, that's a normal room temperature, and you turned it on low and slowly allowed it to boil. That frog will never jump out. It'll slowly boil itself to death. And that the moral of the story is much like the environments that we live in. All of the regulations of these products that you see are at very low doses. They're at low doses that are so-called not harmful unless you had a large dose. But what happens is over time things break down in our systems. And so to me, I feel that was a really great story to share. And that story has stuck in my head, especially when it comes to long-term living and being kick-ass at 100 with 90 for life. So I'm going to share my screen, and Jeanette and I are going to start to share with you guys. Please save your questions either in the chat or for the end. We're definitely going to have a questionnaire at the end. We're going to really take our time working through this because we just know it's really great information for everybody, and we will do our personal best. All right. And I'm going to just share my screen here, everyone. Just give me 1 minute and go to slideshow from the beginning. And welcome everybody to our Low Tox Living hosted by Tracy Dewar, and it's supposed to come up with Jeanette Anderson, but I think we must have accidentally changed that one on there. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, starting with slides missing. That doesn't look. The harsh reality is the fact that toxic chemicals impact us in our environment, and they impact us on our body as well. And the sources of these toxins can be found externally, which is outside of our body, and also created internally, which is inside of our body. And so the harsh effects is that the stress on a person's immune system, as well as other bodily systems, such as your skin and other organs. The overall impact on your health and well-being and mental state. Also, the impact hugely are hormonal imbalances, which more and more people are recognizing the shocking, I guess, what's the word? The shocking side effects of our hormones are having. Our toxic loads come from inhaling, ingesting, and transferring of chemicals from a variety of sources. Variety of sources in our environment, the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, our personal care, our household products we use, and even the stress and chronic negative thinking. Now, I'm not here to share fear or say there's no help. The wonderful thing is our bodies are miraculous and do amazing things. And so talking about the environment, as you can see, we're just going to give you a few things here like heavy metals, fumigates, pesticides, mold and other fungal toxins, asbestos. We know the list is big, but the one we really want to highlight and that Jeanette talked about was the VOCs, the volatile organic compounds. I know this is one that you really share a lot about. Jeanette, do you want to just maybe highlight and explain a little bit more about that volatile organic compounds?
Yes, I do. I was going to show some things, but that's perhaps we can just minimize the screen. I don't think we can do that, can we? Perhaps I'll do it.
I can make you a host if you want. Absolutely. I'll just stop my screen quickly. If you've got something to share, we can easily do that. We are here to make this the best show ever. So now you are a host and you now can share your screen.
Okay, well, I have them in my hand, so that's why I'll talk about them. So one of the things about volatile organic compounds, when we began with Nature Direct, like all of us, we often join professional associations, and I joined a professional association called Clean Scene. So I took myself off to various conferences and was participated in workshops. And one of the most alarming things jumped out at me was a study that was done in the childcare industry in Australia. And what they did is they measured the VOC levels. Now, VOCs are basically all kinds of nasty chemicals. I could go into them, toluene, benzene, these types of things. And many of them are in cleaning products. Just to give you some background, in Australia and the US, toxic products in chemicals in cleaning products are not regulated. So when you even ask for an MSDS sheet, which I really understand why, MSDS sheet basically is a material safety data sheet, and you'll often see a proprietary formula. And I get it because they're really highly confidential, and people will spend a lot of money and time developing them. So what they did is so you never know what's inside a chemical product, a cleaning product. The only thing you'll know is by looking at the warning levels that are actually on the bottles. Now, all of us have walked down the cleaning aisle at some point in our lives. All of us have had that pungent smell. And so they off-gas, which is basically, off-gas is basically VOC. So if you have ever experienced that, you'll know what I'm talking about. So products like this one, which is, I'm not going to be at all sanctimonious. These are my products out of my home, and they've been sitting in empty in a bag like that, so I can use them. But Bleach has the same warning level as battery acid. Now, you know, for years and years, willy-nilly used bleach around the house. And in fact, in the bathroom, I'd often use 2 or 3, just to be sure that everything was clean and sanitized. I remember being pregnant doing that. And of course, this one is probably, you know, one of the things that I always talk about when I do a show. I might even try and scan that and put it in the group. It's a Department of Health document by the Office of Environmental Health Assessment in the US. And so what it talks about is, in very big black words, never mix bleach with common household cleaning products. And everybody has done that. And if you haven't done it, well, that's fantastic. But what you'll often find, if anybody ever remember the smell of ammonia, ammonia has a very strong smell, and bleach has a very strong smell as well. So with bleach, your olfactory glands, basically, as soon as you smell it, you can't detect changes in strength. So generally speaking, a product like this one has a strength of about 34 to 51 particles per million. And the warning levels of that one are lethal in 1 to 1.5 hours of exposure. Now, at the other end of the spectrum is 1,000 particles per million, which is fatal within a few deep breaths. Now, the weird thing is that even the Chinese have higher standards than Australia. Even lots of Asia does, and certainly Europe does, because all the countries on top of each other, so have very strict guidelines. So for information purposes, I will post that into this group event that Tracy's actually created. I always use this one as an example because that's what this childcare centre group actually measured, was air quality. And air quality is probably the most important thing of all. It's fundamental. You can survive hours without water, you can survive without food, but you cannot survive without air. So fundamentally, this is the most important thing of all. And this
if I recall,
yep.
They say 3 minutes without air,
Mm-hmm.
3 days without water, and 30 days without food.
Yep. So air is really it. That's it. If you want to think about, in fact, when it comes down to people who die, they can die of lots of things, but I can tell you what gets them in the end: their lungs fail. That's what happens. So this is an air sanitizer or air disinfectant. Many of you have used this product. It's actually formulated by Johnson & Johnson, which is a trusted family company. We all know that. Now, the warning on this is very famous. I know that Deb and perhaps Caroline might be able to cite this word for word. Eye irritant, keep out of reach of children and pets, highly flammable, avoid contact with food and food utensils. Now, the advertising around this looks nothing like the warning on the back. May irritate eyes, avoid spraying near eyes. Before using the product at your home, use in one room and wait 24 hours to ensure that no one has any physical reactions to the product. Asthma and allergy sufferers. Now, I know a couple of you on this call have that as well. Consult a doctor before using this product in your home. Before spraying, remove birds. After use, ventilate normally prior to returning birds to the treated area. Now, this is a household product. And of course, you won't know what the ingredients are because they actually don't reveal them. So what happened in this study, what they did is they measured the VOC levels in a childcare centre after hours. And they measured it at 180 centimetres, and there may be US people on this call, so around 6 feet in the air, from the floor. And the VOC level, the acceptable level, was like 0.01. So it was acceptable at that level. At 30 centimetres, which is 12 inches, the VOC levels is more than 1,000 times the acceptable level. Now, childcare centres, like all of us would know, have children crawling around the floor, playing on the floor, but in a home, that's equally the same. You have children play on the floor. You might lie on the floor to do your exercises. You might have animals that are fairly small as well. So they're breathing in volatile organic compounds. And those things can actually trigger allergic reactions. And the fact that in Melbourne, there's a big institute called the Doherty's Institute, which is part of the Walter and Eliza Hall Research Centre. And what they did is they basically believe that allergies start as young as 2 to 3 weeks of age. And they're triggered by inflammation of the mucus-bearing tissues. And you can talk about nutritionals all you like, but when it comes to air, if you're faced by something insidious like VOCs, then you are going to be impacted by it. So what happens, babies with their very, very fine mucus-bearing tissues, our elderly who also have very fine mucus-bearing tissues, are impacted by VOCs. And so what it does, it irritates them. And then when it irritates their mucus-bearing tissues, it then begins what they call the atopic march, where one thing leads to another. Now, undoubtedly, some people have a propensity towards allergies, and that may well be any number of issues that cause that. But this development of VOCs is something that many people just aren't aware of. So what I always say to people, you need to look for VOC free. When a product says it's VOC free, then you can guarantee. If it doesn't say that, then you can guarantee that it actually has VOCs in it. So lots of things are, and they're not just chemical, they're all chemicals. Things like curry cooking, onions, essential oils, they're very highly volatile. Obviously, air fresheners like these things, cleaning products, perfume, candles, all sorts of things. So and the other thing about them is they're very difficult to get rid of because they're heavy. They're very heavy molecules. So you can't just open the window and the door to get rid of them. So what happens, you have to extract them. So childcare centres such as the one I was describing had industrial fans brought into that area to basically remove stuff, the air from that building. So that'll give you an idea of the impact of that kind of thing and why I've become such a warrior, if you like, on awareness around at least knowing what you are doing. And the worst thing is about VOCs, you often can't smell them.
Wow, that's definitely heavy for sure in that in there. So let me just unpin you now. I think you might have to unpin yourself.
Okay. Perhaps I'll talk about other things as well, because cooking's another thing. So do you want me to talk about that now or perhaps later?
Well, let's just come back to, let's just see. Okay. I don't know why I can't unhost you though. How do I reclaim host? There we go. Got it. Okay. Well, let's come back to that for sure. And I'll go back to sharing my screen here on there. So I guess what we're getting definitely on the environment and in there. So then moving in, as you were sharing, the indoor air pollutants and also outdoor air pollutants. And so this is where you can share a little bit more, Jeanette, on the outdoor air pollutants. Yeah.
So Melbourne people are very familiar with what they call the thunderstorm asthma syndrome. In probably 3-4 years ago now, I can't remember exactly, we had a massive thunderstorm, and what happened, 11 people that day died of an asthma attack. And in fact, it's interesting the number of people who had asthma attacks that day that had never experienced them before. And it's because of the massive amount of ryegrass that we have growing in the Western District. And what happened is that basically the thunderstorm lifted this ryegrass and planted it all over Melbourne CBD, which is, as you all know, it's about 6 million people. So these are smoke, dust, ozone, car emissions. The list goes on and on. So every time you open the door, or you enter your house, you bring pollen and smoke particles with you. That's what happens. Pollen is another thing that really impacts air quality. Rain and thunderstorms. What happens? Steady rain is great for washing things away, but in big thunderstorms, they break up the molecule and then they disperse, and that's why you often have a rise in allergic reactions when you actually when there is a thunderstorm. You'd think that the rain would actually wash it away. It breaks it down so much that they're more easily inhaled.
So what can you do? Like, what can you do to protect yourself a little bit more?
Don't go out in the rain. Shut the doors and windows. And if you are compromised, for example, I think it's probably the main thing. I mean, steady rain's one thing. I mean, nobody really wants to go into thunderstorm anyway, but this particular one hit very, very rapidly, and people were affected. They were coming home from work. They were out in the streets walking home. It was the afternoon, and that's what happened. So it was massive. I do remember when my daughter Stephanie rang me, and she was at the time working for the ABC, and I said to her, "Where are you?" She said, "I'm at the Royal Melbourne." I said, "Are you doing a story on this thunderstorm?" "No, Mum, I've been admitted." So that was really quite scary. So that's just one aspect. It sounds fearful, but it's happened again. This is the thing. So Victoria's obviously quite prevalent towards that thing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, here we go. Okay, then the indoors, and I guess this is what you already were talking about.
Yes.
The scents, the chemicals, the VOCs, the paints, food waste, rubbish bins, trash cans, and all those sort of things. So and we are just so happy that we have so many great products that can help in that. The foods we eat, in other words, the processed foods, the additives and the preservatives and the pesticides and the fumigants that have been added to our foods, the water that we drink, the tap water even containing fluoride. And I know that is a topic of, there are pros and cons of fluoride, but as far as I'm concerned, what's going to make our teeth strong is calcium, not fluoride. So the fluoride does far more damage than good. Mercury, chlorine, and the bottled water, that the actual leaching of the chemicals of the BPA and the microplastics. So, and again, coming to our personal care and beauty care, like, to me, this has got the most amount of chemicals. I'm not even going to go there. But the bottom line is, the good news is we can do something about it. And then coming to our household products, which Jeanette, as you were sharing, these are the big things that you can make a difference. You can choose not to have those products, and there are great products for household cleaning in there. Another thing in the household one is that you are really quite passionate about and sharing is the utensils. Do you want to share a little bit more about that one?
Yes. So, one of the things that when you use things at home, plastic, again, I tend to use, if you want to just share my screen again.
Yes, dear. Sorry. Yeah, good girl.
Okay. So I use a lot of these. They're stainless steel bowls, if you like, and then they have silicone seals like that. So I prefer to use those than plastic. I have a lot of glass, and I just make sure that the plastic lids don't touch the food when I freeze them. I don't cook in plastic. In fact, I've got to tell you a story about this. Was uncanny. But my neighbour directly across the road had a plastic party, and I'm not going to denigrate brands, but there were 15, 16 people there. And I went to go and buy the toy that many of you would recognise. It's a ball and it falls apart and has shapes that go in it. I thought, this is belonging to the Alex Stewart Academy. So I expected, and these girls were party girls. They were all out in the backyard, around the pool and the tables, and having nibbles and champagne. And I said, "Oh, how was the party?" I'd arrived late. And they said, "Oh, it was really good." And I said, "Okay." She's just packing up now. I said, "Okay, so what were the sales?" $400 and something. And I went, "Whoa, for that many people, I would have expected a lot more." And a couple of these women, and half of them were smoking, another story. But one of them said she was cooking in plastic. And I just, who does that? And microwaves, cooking in plastic. It's just, and what's wrong with putting in a bowl if you're going to use a microwave to defrost something with a plate over the top? So something like that I'm always aware of. So things like, and I bought a new one so you can see what it looks like, toothbrushes. I know that sounds, but we go to all this trouble to use chemical-free or sort of toxic-free products when we brush our teeth, but we then go and use plastic toothbrushes. Now, and then you're scrubbing around in your mucus-bearing tissues. God forbid. So this one here is a Pixter brand. I'll just show you that one there. And
Plastic.
And on it, it's and there's quite a few on the market now: plastic-free, biodegradable handle, corn-based packaging window, BPA, PVC free. So it's a really great product, and I use those a lot. So I use, because they recycle really well as well. They've got nylon bristles, they're not plastic as well, so that's good too. So consider something as basic as a toothbrush. Now I know they're probably about $6 or $7, which is a lot for a toothbrush, but you know what?
Hey, a cup of coffee.
I know, and they do last a long time. And of course, the other thing I feel really passionate about, so you know, I wished I'd actually could get commission from this company, because I rave about them all the time. And this is my baby. Can anybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. Now this is, it's really, can you see the little Australian flag there at the top?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's gorgeous.
This is a brand called Solid Techniques. And my daughter worked at House for a number of years, so I had any number of top brands. I have used every single brand of non-toxic, coated Teflons, you name it, brand of cookware, because let's face it, it's a hell of a lot easier sometimes to cook in non-stick stuff. That just is. So, and I have quite small wrists, so I found it really difficult to pick up the really big, heavy cast iron pans. In fact, I've got a Le Creuset casserole, but I can't, it's very difficult to pick up. So I did my research, and this is really the one that was recommended. I love this pan.
And what's it made out of?
It's called Solid Techniques. It's actually cast iron. It's actually cast iron steel, cast steel, and it's all one piece, so the handle doesn't get hot. It's like, this is a wok one, like that. Truly, I'm not getting commission. And then if anything sticks on it, then you can just scrub the life out of it. And then what you
share the brand on our event as well?
I can. Solid Techniques. I love it. And of course, it's toxin free, which is great. So think about that, because there are no safe brands of any cookware out there with all those dreadful coatings. So think about what you're using, because, you know, for the stuff you stick in your mouth and for the thing that you cook your food with, it's so fundamental that I'm sure all of you would agree.
Wow. Thank you. That's brilliant. Okay. So going back to next, from household goods to this one, actually is really, I thought, was very good and important. The stress, chronic negative thinking actually creates an imbalance in our internal systems, and it actually wreaks havoc with our good bacteria. And when our good bacteria dies off, the bad bacteria actually takes over. So what can we do to reduce the exposure? So this is, I guess, a lifestyle choice of reducing conscious decision making and changing the way we live. And I believe, you know, most people are making those changes on a daily basis. I'm loving my younger generation. My daughters, they're even on me bigger than ever before. And I'm constantly learning new things. So here are some steps. Number one, to reduce the exposure to the foods. As well, as Jeanette was talking about, what we're cooking our foods in, you know, buying the whole foods, but washing our fruits and vegetables. If, as those of you may take notes, if you know what what is it, the dirty 15, or is it called the 13 or the dirty 15? What was that, Jeanette? There's certain foods anyway that absorb chemicals, so you need to wash them better.
The dirty dozen.
The dirty dozen, and those are the foods. Just Google dirty dozen and the clean 15. That's what it is. But the dirty dozen are the ones that absorb a lot of these toxins, and how important it is to wash our fruits and vegetables. I know, Jeanette, we're just discussing different options of that. One, just with apple cider vinegar in water, or lemon essential oil with water and vinegar. So there's just different ways. Again, just being more mindful on the food, on how you store it, the containers, and just limiting the plastic. So number two, again, reducing your exposure to toxins in the water, investing into a household water filter. I can't tell you the difference it's made in my life, having a water filter myself personally, and the difference when I don't really drink any water outside of my own filtered water anymore. But swapping for all your glass and stainless steel, again, to plastic containers.
Yeah, I might add something there, if I may, actually.
Please do. Yeah.
You know, one of the very good friends of Nature Vector is a guy called Dr. Peter Dingle. He wrote, he was actually on the SBS years ago, and he's become very famous as a gut health doctor. And you've got to be realistic about life. We would not be here today if we didn't have chlorine in our water, but it doesn't, because of the very nature of catchment areas and what they attract. but that doesn't mean you have to drink it. So a good water filter is really important. So that's a difference between what we're talking about. You really have to be realistic, and we live in the real world and we have to survive.
That's right.
And
that's right. And that's why we have the wonderful thing called our liver and the things that we can do with it. So, which I'm excited to share more of. Again, now coming to reducing toxins in our beauty products and care products, just again, start researching and reading your labels on your personal care products. And the fact that you can do your own do-it-yourself recipes with our essential oils and carrier oils. Myself, for years, I actually use olive oil. It's a natural antiseptic, and I use olive oil in my shower as my wash, my body wash. So there's lots of different things that you can do. But remember, making a conscious choice to shop for items that benefit your health, your well-being, and also the environment. And anything you put on your skin is absorbed in your body. So reducing your exposure to environmental toxins. And this is where, again, coming into the wonderful difference you've made in the world, Jeanette, on switching to fit-for-purpose, non-toxic household products. And adding indoor plants to your decor, again, helps clean the airs. Wearing protective gear when necessary. So there is a great start.
Can I just add something there, if I may, as well?
Yep.
What fit for purpose is, these are not made at the kitchen sink. They're formulated by scientists, and I'm a big believer in science because it's got us where we are today in many instances. So they are formulated, and they are designed to they are cleaners. They're what they call suspension cleaners, and they're developed that way. They lift stuff and hold them in suspension so you can clean away. Our air products are designed to attract and trap particles in the air because they're negatively charged. You don't get that by mixing something at the kitchen sink. So they are fit for purpose, and that's the term of them. And we are classified by the Australian Manufacturers Association and the ATO as we manufacture fit for purpose cleaning products. It's actually
I love it. I think it's fantastic. So now, reducing your exposure to toxins from stress and negative thinking. And so as you see more and more on Instagram and people around you working on good practices of self-care, being able to ask for help, investing into talk therapy, having support, and just, again, any positive activity that can help you improve your thought process and reduce stress will have a lasting impact on your health, which comes to activity number 6 being exercise. It actually produces many benefits to the neurochemicals that helps improve your mood. And exercise is also sweat-inducing, which is the pathway to removing toxins like this. And so coming to what we talk about in Youngevity, what do we eliminate? What do we eat? The exercise, the sleep, and the support that we need. And that comes right down to our low tox living. So it really, truly takes courage and persistence to improve mental health. And it is definitely worth putting the effort into. So what are the removal pathways? Some toxins are able to actually directly extreate from our bodies. And so this is the good news in that miraculous miracle that we actually are. And the primary routes of elimination and others first must be transformed by our liver. And I know that our fantastic Caroline Thomas, you have dedicated your business to detox and the liver in Low Tox Living. And so, as you can see, the liver is able to convert these toxins. And so what a beautiful thing. Through urine, our breath, sweat, and even toxins excreted through our bowels. And so that's why a waste and elimination is so important. When we talk about breath, Wim Hof, I know, Grant, you've dedicated your life to the Wim Hof and learning to breathe at a next level, again, to removing toxins, the importance of our sweat, as we say, and then adding the minerals that Dr. Wallach has dedicated his life to. And so, yeah, what a fantastic role that organ plays in us. So think about it, our skin and our liver. Now, the liver plays a large role in the conversion and the detoxification of these toxins, and it is a vital organ in that eliminatory process. So removing of these toxins via these pathways can be supported through getting back to exercise, because it does stimulate the muscle activity for the lymph flow and, again, the sweating. And this is where we come back to that healthy, balanced diet. and highlighting the adequate fiber intake that it takes to ensure our digestion track can work to remove that waste. And that's why those of you that join me on my wintertime slim, I'm a big advocate for Thai Slim because it is high antioxidants, fights free radicals, but also the fiber. And I'm really big on eating the rainbow for the fiber for elimination. It's always one of my big things is what to eliminate, and it's the toxins from our body. And again, coming back to drinking enough water to hydrate and manage the fluid loss via, again, the sweat and the urine. So by reducing your exposure and managing your toxic load, you will gain and improve your mental clarity, improve your digestion, remove pain and inflammation, reduce hormonal imbalances, have more energy, and be less risk of disease. And so I don't know about you, but you need to ask yourself, what can you eliminate? Just in this call today, I want you guys tonight after this call is think about, go through your house, go through your personal, and think again, what things you can eliminate in your life, what things, again, that you can be eating to add to your life for, again, eliminating and adding fiber, your exercise, again, check up from the neck up, ladies and gentlemen. Are you doing what it takes to get yourself sweating? Sleep, again, the importance of that, and what support do you need from us, from those around you to be better at a low tox living? So what is the biggest steps you can take? Well, is swap where you shop. And so we want to share right now, what are things you can look in your house and start eliminating and start swapping where you shop and start creating a wish list. These things take time. It doesn't happen overnight. And so let's see where we can start. Number one, foods with antioxidants and a high ORAC score. It fights the free radicals. Jeanette, do you want to share some of these products that we just highlighted here tonight?
Back in the days when we were having live events, we used to do tastings of these. They're delicious. The Youngevity with strawberries in it was amazing. Certainly Z Radical would have probably the best reputation, apart from the 90, of course. In the US, it's a huge amount of business is really generated by Z Radical, the fucoidian extract. So you only need to look at those, and I suggest you really try them. I'd actually just bought the powder. I was using the Z Radical liquid in the US, so they're great products. We all know about the 90 for Life, but Jewel of the Orient, you have to really like that sort of almond taste. I'm not quite sure about that.
I love almonds, so it's
I don't like the taste of that, but I certainly like the others. So
but the bottom line is you've got a choice and a selection. You're not guided by one thing. And so here's what I can highlight. Our Tangy Tangerine has an 8,000 ORAC score. But our chocolate, hot chocolate and white, dark chocolate is important. It's got like a 16,000 ORAC score. So that's what I'm saying. These things fight the free radicals. The Youngevity has mangosteen in it for the antioxidant, and it's chocolate for the ORAC score. So again, if you're going to add something to help you build that immune system and fight these free radical damages that we can have, things we do have control over, have a look at those selections. And that's just a few. Coffee and tea. Now, I don't know about you, but this is why I only use the Youngevity coffee and tea, because I was blessed to do some studies. I worked for a tea company for a year and learned everything I possibly can, and how important, like these tea leaves out there, they are sprayed with fumigants and pesticides. So that's why you want to be diligent and vigilant about organic, free trade, high in minerals and antioxidants, and being GMO free. And that's why I know with our coffee, I know you can get coffee beans from around the world and they say organic, but the bottom line is when they come into Australia, they have to be fumigated. Okay. The only organic green bean that we do have in Australia is an Australian green bean. If you can get your hands on that, over $50 a kilo. It's a small market, so there's not a lot of it. But if you do, again, it's very high in antioxidants. And again, just wanted to share, but we have ours. And so if you haven't tried our coffee yet, try it. For those of you who like your coffee strong, you just have a bigger scoop. Our water toxins, as we know, we have what's called Harmony Water. And our Harmony Water allows your body not only to put in a peaceful state and it's calm, it helps clarity and mental focus, but it actually helps you with absorption of your supplements and your minerals and nutrients from your food. So that's why our Harmony water is so powerful, so potent. And you just need to put a couple of drops on your wrists, or even a drop in your water. So I couldn't emphasize, if you haven't tried our Harmony water. Now, going into our beauty and skincare, you would have saw on the event, I shared just the toxins and aluminums that are in our deodorants, the deadly chemicals that are in our toothpastes. I don't know if you've ever tried the Big Smile, just 1 or 2 drops. There's an amazing ingredients in there. It helps with gum disease. It helps with your breath. It does so many fantastic things, the Big Smile. You could even mix it with your baking soda, or just the Youngevity toothpaste that we have. So I'm just sharing some great stuff. Again, those are quick swap where you shops. These products, I believe, Simply Hers deodorant, men's and women's, it happens to be on sale right now as well at a great discounted price. Now, our conditioners and shampoos and skincare, you'll see we have a variety of, or you're not limited to one brand. We got different brands, so you can kind of swap it out. But again, they're brands that are high in nutrient, Wildcraft with organic botanicals, again, powerful antioxidants, 100% certified toxic free, or if anything, as low toxic, and very eco-friendly ingredients. So I've shared, there's a organic spa kit set there. It's on sale right now as well. And that's a great collection to get yourself started. It's travel size, as well as our men's Mineral Man collection happens to be at a discount right now too. So moving on to the mineral makeups, to those of you ladies that love your lipstick and knowing how many chemicals are in there, the fact that our lipsticks are foundations and our shadows and fantastic products have none of those chemicals. I'm not even going to go through the list. You can see it right there. It has 5 basic mineral ingredients in it. And if you have a chance to go to the Youngevity Resource Center and put mineral makeup ingredients, they will actually describe and enhance what those ingredients actually are and the benefits of them. But this is the most powerful thing to share with you guys, is how our 5 ingredients. And if you look at the other so-called reputable top 5 companies of makeup out there that are so supposedly low in toxins, this gives you an example. Everything in black, as you see on the ingredients, happen to be the key ingredients that are good and non-toxic. But if you actually look at those that are brown, those are the fillers. You can see Bare Minerals and Youngblood. Those are technically the 2 better ones. They have fillers in them. And then if you look at the other 3, you'll see the chemicals. They're in yellow. Carcinogenic is in red, if you can look at that. And the preservatives and bioaccumulative, like look at the loads of ingredients. So that's completely right there at the biggest turnoff. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't swap where you shop. So getting into our home care products. And this is again where our fantastic Jeanette has been the queen in bringing nature direct to us. Do you want to share a little bit? This specific Home Hero pack happens to be the great starter pack. It retails for about $320, or wholesale at about $250. And the concentration, give us a little bit of heads up on this. Tell us more.
Okay, so they're very economical as well, because one of those equals 5 of those. So, and I know in Australia we're lucky.
Equals 5 of those. Oh yeah, thank you.
5 of those.
Yeah.
So, the other thing about them is that it gives you the opportunity to actually detox all your home. So I refer to a family member. In fact, when we first started Nature Direct, one of my family members said to me, "Look, I'll just get the super strength for my kitchen." It was at the time, it was heavy duty cleaner. I said, "Look, that's okay. You keep using that toxic stuff everywhere else in the home. Just at least your kitchen will be safe." So it's really about your home. And that's why we often recommend at start, you basically pack up the toxic products like these, put them in a box, ring your local council and get them to collect it, because all of them have toxic waste disposal plans. So this is designed to detox your home of all cleaning products and air products. So this is it.
So what's in this kit? Tell us what's in this kit.
So it has a Breathe Easy pack, and it has a choice of the Enviro Air and the regular one, the hypoallergenic and the regular. Has the Enviromist, spray and wipe. It has a glass cleaner, I think, carpet and upholstery, and of course it has a super strength cleaner, which is a fantastic floor cleaner as well.
And
It also comes-
disinfectant, right?
and the Environment is a disinfectant, so sanitizer disinfectant, but also it's an air product as well. It's designed to attract and trap particles out of the air. That's why I often say to people, don't use your diffuser. People always say to me, can I use my diffuser when I use my revitalizer? No, you're wasting your money, because revitalizer will basically get everything and attract it and get it out of the air. So it literally attracts and traps everything. So when you get that at home, you basically just mix it up, and those bottles last ages. I mean, depending on how often you clean, of course. They're BPA-free bottles. They're opaque as well. This is the old white ones, and gradually we've crept across to the amber ones, which I actually really like.
Can't wait.
And then you can actually see how much water's left. I must say I do like those particular ones. So this is designed to detox your home. You know, things like when you're breathing these things in, you know, even one spray of a toxic antibacterial spray and wipe that you buy at the supermarket will increase the risk of an asthma attack by over 40%. One spray, because it just basically spreads through the whole house. So get rid of those products and start using something that's you can trust. All of you trust Doc Wallet, for example, and you certainly trust Youngevity. So and I've probably told this story before, but when we became part of Youngevity, one of the things that was fantastic was Steve Wallach said we normally actually tweak formulas when they come under our brand, but we don't have to touch your products at all. So
what a great plug.
A really good advocate for that, because there's no testing on animals. They're not GMO, because mostly Europeans don't use GMO ingredients anyway. And they are formulated by what they call indigenously sourced essential oils. And I've told this story many times, but for example, the vanilla we have only comes from Madagascar. The lavender only comes from the south side of Mont Ventoux, which is in Provence. It has to be harvested when it's no taller than 30 centimeters. It must be grown in a cork-like cork soil. And that's what produces the properties within it. Our wild thyme, it comes from a certain part of China, because that's where they are. The soil is like that. For example, eucalyptus comes from northern Tasmania, which is really weird. So that's
why is that weird? Why is that weird?
Well, it's just weird when you consider all the eucalyptus areas in the world, and it comes from northern Tasmania, because
our tea tree comes from Australia.
Yeah, well, actually, we do have a tea tree product as well, but it's not in our range at the moment, and that comes from the back of Byron Bay, which is interesting. But certainly, with you can't pick up a plant and plonk it in the soil in Utah and expect the same properties as an essential oil plant, or the oil from a plant that's been grown in its native environment. So there's a lot of in-depth science that has gone into these products and research. So, you know, if you really just want to take if this is all sounding overwhelming for people, then just get that pack and get rid of the other stuff. It's that simple.
Good girl. Brilliant. Wow. Well, honey, I thank you so much for sharing all this and delivering your knowledge to everybody, because, you know, this is the wonderful thing about our community is, you know, we're all here to support everybody. So I know I just need 5 more minutes of everybody's time. We're almost finished this. I know you guys have given us an hour, but we're almost done. So let's finish this off with, you know, what we can do about stress and negative thinking. We know it's toxic, and we know what it can do. We have the most amazing essential oil line. People more than ever before are aware of essential oils. They are the oils for our medicine cabinet to help us with all different things at our mental level, emotional level, even physical level. And so even our beauty care products, there's fantastic products you can make with you do it yourself. But I know this specific kit, the Perfect Day on the Go Rollerball Kit, it's called Create the Perfect Day. It also happens to be a kit that's discounted right now. But it definitely is one that has something for everything. I have 3 sitting on my desk just for my own personal clarity, whether it's more stressful, I need to concentrate more, or just whether I just need to be more motivated. or inspired, I have the ones by my bedside. So, you know, it helps me with my mental state. So I couldn't emphasize, I know we're going to do a Youngevity checkup call on essential oils, on how we can have a low tox living with our essential oil. So excited about that. And going now into products that you can help eliminate the waste, as we spoke of. Our True Cleanse, that specific True Cleanse, there's 10 sachets in there. It not only helps cleanse and eliminate, but it also puts antioxidants into the internal walls of the bowel. It is so fantastic and phenomenal of a product. You can buy it on its own, do that, or it's also part of the 30-day liver cleanse that we do have. Our Detox Tea and the GI Cleanse, which also is for parasites. Again, it's something we should do on a monthly, for every couple of months, again, constantly working on the cleansing. But something that we should do and look after and love is our liver. And that is something I highly recommend every 6 months, at least doing a couple of cleanses a year. Some would say even every season. So again, depending on your toxic load in your body and how well you look after yourself. But there's two different, the liver cleanse is again is a 30-day one, but again, if you just need a quick fix up, the Daily Digest happens to be a triple action one product. It's a product that not only has got the microbiomes in it for your gut, the gut lining, as well as the liver. So again, two fantastic products that I couldn't highlight more. If you haven't had the chance to see Caroline Thomas, I think, was that Nate, that naturopath, Ask Your Naturopath last topic with Caroline, was that recorded, Jeanette?
I think that was the second call, actually.
That was the second call, but
yeah.
was it recorded with Caroline Thomas on the liver?
Yeah, yes, it is. It's actually in the Clean Living group. So yeah, and those of you who are part of Kevin's group will be able to access it through his site as well.
Fantastic. Well, if there's anything you guys could do to help, here's where we're at. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will have to make time for illness. And I highly say, think about that. Now, we have that group. I would say, Kylie, I know you're the most recent girl I know, went into your closets and actually cleaned them out. You got photos of it. Can you share that in our event of the cleanup job you did with your Youngevity and how you replaced it with a Nature Direct? And I would love you to do that, as well as I just wanted to say all of these products here. Now, again, we say it takes time, but this here is about $1,100 worth of product. There's 3 different ways you can get your Youngevity products. You can pay full price, you can pay a discount price, or you can actually pay no price. And so if any of those appeal to you, I definitely highly recommend whoever sent this video to you to talk to them on that, because you can pay full price as the customer. And right there, those products there are about $1,100 right there, as you can see. As a preferred customer, it's going to cost you about $750. But as a distributor, you will get for your $750 that plus that as a distributor. But guess what? If you're a distributor that actually goes out there and shares this mission and message and goes out there and has customers, all of these products will actually, you can earn for free. So I hope you've enjoyed this call. I hope it's made a difference. I want you to go and check out your closets, and tomorrow, a mission in the next 24 hours, anything you found that you plan to replace, take a photo of it and share it in our event. And if you don't know what event you're talking about, send the message to me and I'll make sure you get into that event so we can have a fantastic group of some great products and changes that you plan to make. Wonderful. Now, before I'm going to stop this share, and I'm going to see, is there any questions that anybody has for our fantastic Jeanette or myself? Thank you. You can
I might offer one to see them.
I'm just going to put the recording back on. Okay, share.
Okay. I used, because the VOCs dropped to 30 centimeters from the floor up, I used to say to people, if they were coloured, you could see them. And people put their babies down on their bunny rugs to kick around on the floor, which we all did and do. And the other thing was pets with their food and their water. And I know dogs are little, cats are little, and you have to do that. But I took a breathe easy to my vet, and I said to her, a lot of people are getting more illnesses. And I said, has the illnesses gone up in dogs and cats? And she said, yes. And she said, but it's quite remarkable, really. And I said, have you considered that if they're using toxic chemicals to clean, all of it that's ending up down in the dog's bowl and the cat's bowl and the water bowl? And she
Wow.
went, no, I never thought about that. So that's something to consider about cleaning the pet's food and that regularly if you're going to feed them indoors, because that's what can happen.
Wow, Jeanette, or Deb, that's amazing. And you know, it just triggered a story for you guys. My grandmother was a foster care, and in the 20 years, she had over 200 foster kids come through her home. And if you guys don't know, I was raised by my grandmother, and we had one little baby come through and our home. He was gorgeous, about 10 months old. And within the 24 hours of our care, he went into toxic shock, went white or gray. We rushed him to the hospital, and that little baby died on our care and our watch. And the autopsy came up that the bleach levels in him, he was loaded with bleach in his system.
And
we don't know how it got in him or what, but let's just say that's definitely was certainly changed my life.
You know, one of the reasons it could get in him, and we've gone through this before, is that people clean their baths with bleach. And then they fill up the hot bath, the bath with hot water, and they not only breathe in the bleach, but it gets through their skin as well.
Yeah. Well, darling, you guys are making a difference by sharing these stories. Keep sharing the stories, keep sharing this message, because it is making a difference. Every story we hear creates emotion and triggers. And, you know, people are wanting to live a better life because of us and you.
And just one other quick story is that when I was doing a setup at the gym, everybody's in the gym doing their workout, but everyone was at home cleaning with toxic cleaning products.
Yeah.
Every single person I asked, what do you clean your house with? And they'd say, oh, things from the supermarket. So you're here working out really hard, and then you're going home and cleaning. And they never thought about that either.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway,
Thank
there's
you.
lots of stories.
Well, it makes a difference. So I trust you're out there sharing them and making a difference. So everybody, you have a wonderful, fantastic night. I love you all. Join us Saturday at 11 a.m. on the Mighty Nighty Kids with Kylie Pearson and her mystery team. Okay.
Thanks,
Good night, you
everybody.
guys. Thanks,
Thanks,
you.
Jeanette. Thanks,
Thank
Tracy.
you, Jeanette.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.